Mistakes don't always spark in the haze of late-night bars. Mine began at midday, under the harsh glow of lights that drained the color from everything, even the apples stacked in neat rows. I'm Sarah, 37, a cashier at a small-town grocery store, married to David for 12 years. We have 2 kids, a cat, and a mortgage that ties us to a life that looks perfect in snapshots. On paper, we're solid. Better than solid. We move through our days on autopilot, school runs, bills sorted by due date, Friday tacos with too much cilantro. It's the kind of stability people envy. But standing in it, it feels like silence you can't escape. People think affairs start with a touch. They don't. They start with a glance you didn't mean to hold, a moment of being seen when you've forgotten what that feels like. Our store runs like clockwork, no late shifts, just open at 7 a.m., close at 8 p.m. It's predictable, and that was the trap. Somewhere between year 8 and year 12, the comfort I once clung to became a rhythm I couldn't feel anymore. David was still the man who paid the utilities on time, mowed the lawn before it got shaggy, read bedtime stories with a different voice for every character. But his warmth felt routine, and my restlessness grew sharper. Ethan appeared in a gray jacket with security embroidered on it, his wedding ring glinting when he signed for shipments. Married. I noticed it the way you notice a sale sign, automatic, just data. He carried a photo behind his ID badge, a little boy in a dinosaur hoodie, grinning at a park. Liam, he mentioned once, almost shy, as if love was a secret he hadn't meant to share. Ethan wasn't movie star handsome. He was steady, observant, the kind of man who seemed to know exactly where you were hurting and how to stand close without crowding you. IT started on a day when a kid tried to bolt with a backpack stuffed with soda cans. I stood there, frozen, scanner in hand, as the chaos unfolded. Ethan didn't hesitate. No heroics, just a calm step into the kid's path and a low, drop it and walk. The kid did. My pulse didn't settle as quickly. When the store quieted, Ethan leaned against my counter, not too close, just enough. You good? He asked. Yeah, I said, my voice sounding borrowed. He slid a granola bar across the counter. Eat. You're pale. I wanted to brush it off, but I took the bar, unwrapped it, and bit into it. I didn't taste a thing. His gaze softened, not chasing, just there. That distinction shouldn't have meant anything. It meant everything. After that, there was paperwork. He came to my lane during a slow hour, the store humming with the soft clatter of carts. He needed my statement. Time, description, exit used. I wrote it out, my handwriting too careful, like I was trying to prove I was reliable. He pointed to the form's bottom. Your number, in case the boss needs follow-up. Standard procedure. Nothing unusual. Except it was my number in his hands. Married, I said, needing to draw the line out loud. He nodded. Same. His voice was gentle, like he was handling something fragile. I thought that was the end of it. You write, you file, you move on. But the next day, during a quiet moment between the morning rush and the lunch crowd, my phone vibrated in my apron. Unknown number. Ethan, just checking you're okay after yesterday. Coffee on break. I stared at the screen, rearranging the candy display to buy time. David was probably at his office across town filing reports, the kind of man who kept receipts in a neat folder because he knew I liked order. The kind of man I vowed to love when my dress still smelled of lavender and promises. The scanner beeped. A customer asked for reusable bags, then switched to plastic. I packed their groceries, each item feeling like a choice I wasn't ready to make. Maybe coffee was just coffee. Maybe it was gratitude for his help. Maybe the knot in my chest was just hunger, not the first crack in something solid. My break was at 1 p.m. At 12:59, I texted, okay, that was it. The whole disaster, small enough to fit in a single word. The back lot by the delivery dock wasn't charming. It smelled of damp pavement and cardboard boxes. Trucks rumbled, seagulls squawked, and the wind rattled the chain-link fence. That's where I went after texting okay. Ethan was waiting with 2 paper cups and a granola bar, lined up like a peace offering. 10 minutes, he said. Then we're back to being boring adults. I meant to laugh it off. Instead, I noticed the scuff on his ring, and the faint line where his badge always hung. Details you only catch when you're trying not to stare at someone's hands that we talked about nothing important. The teenager who tried to buy wine with a fake ID. Mrs. Carter's habit of slipping extra apples into her bag. The way the bakery's bread scent took over the store by noon. He asked about my kids, using their names Emma and Noah correctly the second time I mentioned them. When I asked about his son, his face lit up. Liam, 6, obsessed with dinosaurs, won't touch broccoli. He smiled like he was guarding a treasure. Married, married, married. The word pulsed in my head, but I stayed, sipping coffee I didn't even like. After that, we found a rhythm. Not late nights. Our store didn't have those, but stolen moments. 5 minutes by the recycling bins after the morning rush. 3 minutes near the break room while the produce team restocked. Once, a full lunch break on the curb by the loading zone, like kids with adult-sized secrets. He never touched me then. He noticed my mood by the way I carried myself. Tense shoulders meant he'd find me a chair. A missed lunch meant a snack left by my register. He was attentive, deliberate, a man trained to see what others overlooked. David saw me too, but differently. He noticed when the car needed an oil change, when the water bill spiked, when the cat food was cheaper at the warehouse store. I married a man who kept our world running. I started craving one who asked if I was okay. The first text that wasn't about work came on a stormy Tuesday. Ethan, lots slick. I'll walk you in so you don't slip. I typed, I'm fine, then erased it. Thanks, I sent instead. He showed up with an umbrella big enough for two. We didn't touch, but the space between us felt alive. I told myself it was nothing. Two married people being kind in bad weather. I told myself a lot of things that were half true. The day the line blurred, the store's cameras were offline for maintenance. Ethan needed my statement about a missing inventory item, so I met him in the security office, a cramped room with flickering monitors. He sat, I stood, and the air buzzed with the hum of old equipment. You're shaking, he said quietly. I'm fine, I lied. Our usual script. He slid a water bottle across the desk. Our fingers didn't touch, but the absence felt louder than contact. I twisted the cap too hard, and it popped off, water splashing the forms. I cursed softly, grabbing tissues. He reached for them too. Our hands met over the mess, lingering a second too long. The warmth of his skin through the tissue was electric. I heard my own breath catch. Sarah, he said, my name sounding like a question he'd already answered. I should have stepped back. I should have said, we can't. Instead, I met his eyes, and what I saw wasn't desire. It was certainty, like he'd been waiting for permission. He kissed me. Not desperate, but careful, like testing a step on thin ice. I felt his ring against my arm, my own band digging into my palm where I'd clenched my fist to hide it. For a moment, the room was still. No scanners, no carts, no announcements about clearance produce. Just two people stepping over a line. I pulled away first. We can't, I said. Too late. I know, he said. Honest but pointless. Outside, the produce bell chimed for fresh tomatoes. Someone paged for a cleanup in aisle 7. The world kept turning, as if I hadn't just betrayed everything I'd promised. I wiped the desk, straightened the forms, checked the hallway, and slipped out. By the time I reached my register, my hands were steady, but a part of me was already planning to return. Affairs don't shout their arrival. They slip through cracks you didn't know you'd left open. One day, you're sharing coffee by a dock. The next, you're counting seconds until your phone lights up. With Ethan, it escalated fast. A kiss in the security office became a routine. Once a week became twice. Then, any time our schedules aligned with the store's blind spots. He had access to every locked door, and suddenly so did I. The stockroom behind the canned goods, the break room after hours, ordinary places turned into secrets. I told myself lies so smooth they felt like truth. David was reliable but distant. He asked about schedules, not feelings. Ethan asked if I was sleeping, if my stress was easing, if I was happy. It felt like being chosen. Even if the choice was wrong, the thrill was addictive. A coworker passing too close while Ethan's hand brushed mine. My phone buzzing while David chopped vegetables at home. I deleted texts in the bathroom, blamed late shifts for cold dinners, once bolted from the stockroom because I thought I heard the manager's keys. David noticed the changes: new earrings, longer baths, a sudden lightness in my step. "You seem happy," he said once, smiling like he meant it. Guilt burned, but so did relief that he didn't dig deeper. By month 3, Ethan stopped being cautious. He'd linger too long at my counter, his arm grazing mine while I scanned items. At night, I lay beside David, rehearsing confessions I'd never voice. But morning came, and I'd slip back into the fire. I thought I could keep it contained. The truth hit on a Thursday when Ethan texted, "Can't get you out of my head. Meet me, usual spot, 10 minutes. My fingers answered before my brain did. Yes. That word wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. I wasn't stumbling anymore. I was running. Soon, it wasn't just quick moments in locked rooms. It was stolen lunches in his car, a cheap motel room off the interstate where the air smelled of disinfectant and regret. At first, the rush felt like freedom, like we'd carved out a hidden world. But excitement fades. The thrill dulled into a new kind of routine, same lies, same risks, same whispered promises. Ethan's texts grew reckless, sent at hours that made my stomach lurch. I got careless too. Thinking a locked phone was enough to keep secrets, IT ended on a Monday, though the affair had been unraveling for weeks. I came home after a shift, my phone still holding Ethan's latest message. Today was worth it. I thought I'd deleted it. I thought I'd deleted everything. David was at the dining table, no TV, no phone, just him in his work clothes, my phone in front of him like a loaded gun. "Who's worth it?" he asked. His voice was calm, measured, like he was reading a weather report. My mouth opened, some excuse ready, but his eyes stopped me. Not angry, not shocked, just sure. He'd seen the texts, pieced together the truth I thought I'd hidden. "It's nothing," I started, but the words collapsed. "Don't," he said, sharp but quiet. "Don't act like I'm stupid." The kids were upstairs, their laughter drifting from a tablet. David didn't yell. He didn't demand details. He just asked, "How long?" "A few months," I whispered. He nodded, like he was checking a box. Then he slid my phone back to me and stood. "That's enough." That night, he took his pillow to the spare room. No argument, no slammed doors, just a click as the door shut. I waited for him to come back, to shout or cry, or ask why. Nothing. The silence was heavier than any fight. The next morning, he made breakfast for the kids, packed their bags, kissed their heads, and left for work. He didn't look at me. Not once. He was still their father, still the man who kept our lives in order, but with me, he was gone. I thought silence meant space to fix things. I was wrong. David became a stranger in our home. I cooked his favorite meals, roast chicken, garlic bread, but he ate with the kids and left the table without a word. I left notes in his briefcase, echoes of the ones from our early days. "I'm sorry, I love you." They came back untouched. I blocked Ethan, deleted everything, told David I'd cut contact, hoping for a reaction. He nodded, blank, like I was reciting someone else's story. The house felt like a tomb without the kids' chatter. David passed me in the hall without a glance, rinsed his mug without speaking. His voice came alive only for Emma and Noah, warm and steady, the father they needed. To me, he was a ghost. I tried everything: new clothes, a different haircut, apologies he didn't acknowledge. The store noticed. Coworkers said I looked great. David didn't. Or maybe he did and chose not to care. For months, I thought his silence was indecision, a chance to earn him back. I was wrong. While I chased redemption, he was planning his exit. New job searches I never saw. Accounts quietly shifted. Papers filed in secret. I didn't know I was living on borrowed time. The end came on a Wednesday. A knock at the door. I thought it was a neighbor or a package. Instead, a man handed me an envelope and left. Inside, divorce papers, already in motion, my name beside David's. Terms set, no room for debate. He came home late, saw me with the envelope, and set his keys down. "You've been served," he said, like he was confirming a delivery. It's done. How long? I asked, voice breaking. Since I found out, he said, eyes on the counter. I stayed for the kids. Everything's ready now. No anger, no tears, just finality. That night, I lay awake, the house feeling like a shell I'd been kicked out of. I thought losing him would be the worst part. It wasn't. It was realizing he'd let go while I was still holding on, hoping for forgiveness he'd never offer. Looking back, I see every moment I could have turned back. The first coffee, the first text, the first lie. I could have gone home to David, talked, fought, fixed us. But I didn't. Now the marriage I thought was my foundation is ending, not with a storm, but with a signature on a dotted line. Betrayal doesn't just break love, it erases the person someone believed in. And once that's gone, there's no rebuilding. I cheated after 12 years of marriage. I lost everything that mattered. Ethan's name is a fading echo, and David, the man who saw me at my best, will never see me again. The cruelest part? I'd give anything for a second chance, but some choices don't just break a life, they bury it.